Hey guys, welcome to another video. My name is Devin Adams. I'm a Fortinet instructor here in Tempe, Arizona for Dynamic Worldwide Training Consultants. And here is my NSE 5 lab demo I've been doing for several videos now. Before I start, a real quick shout out to Rich. Thanks for looking into my audio stuff for me there. Now I got to just figure out how to replace videos in YouTube. I'll eventually become somewhat of a YouTube, you know, I don't know. Connoisseur. I don't know what to say it. I don't want to call myself a YouTuber, but I appreciate that, Rich. I really do. Anyways, guys, I've been just rolling with these videos to see how much I can get out of the way before these licenses expire. And I have about 8 more days. And I'm waiting for my real FortiManager to update itself. And I thought, hey, you know what? Why don't we go ahead and take advantage of the last videos, which we built a hub and spoke VPN community between these FortiGates and start having this FortiAnalyzer actually start collecting logs. Wouldn't that be nice? So, oh, there it is, our analyzer right here. So why don't we do that? So our goal in this video is to set up the FortiAnalyzer and the FortiManager so they can work together, and then in the next video we'll do a provisioning template to all the managed FortiGates to start sending logs to the FortiAnalyzer. Alright, so let's go ahead and log into our Windows machine here. Alright, I'm already in my FortiManager, and it looks like I have 8 whopping days left before my license expires. So we turned on the FortiAnalyzer features. Now when you do this with the FortiManager, you kind of gotta look at it as it being a separate appliance, okay? Even though it's still the FortiManager, it's not going to recognize that it needs another FortiAnalyzer directly. I know that sounds kind of weird, but in order to take full advantage of how we have it set up, which is a FortiManager and a FortiAnalyzer right next to each other, like on premise, and just to demo this, I'm going to actually turn off the features on my FortiManager, and I'll show you why here in just a moment. So I'm going to come in here and turn off being a FortiAnalyzer. Boom, right there. And yeah, this will reboot the device, so just as a little heads up, and we can watch that go down here. Anyways, so what we're going to do is we're essentially going to have the FortiManager, what's known as manage the FortiAnalyzer, and what that does is when there is a request for a FortiManager to, or not a FortiManager, when there's a request for a FortiGate to send logs to the FortiAnalyzer, we don't need to do it into 2 places. So the FortiAnalyzer and the FortiManager will connect together as a managed device, and that way we don't have to go to 2 separate places to go ahead and authorize the collection of log files and also authorize the collection of central management. It should all be able to be done in one big shot. So anyways, I'm going to let that continue to boot up, and I'll show you what that means in a moment. So I feel like when you're explaining things without showing it, it's kind of like mer, but it's going to go ahead and it's going to strip that database, by the way, and so it's no longer acting as a FortiAnalyzer, and now it's strictly a FortiManager. So let's log back into the GUI and see what it looks like. So all right, here we are. Type in my super secret password here. Okay, so as you can see, there is no FortiAnalyzer features anymore. So, but what's neat is if we go to Device Manager, all right, and it'll take a second for those tunnels to come back up. That's not really our concern. But if we go to Add Device, look at that, Add FortiAnalyzer right there. Isn't that crazy? So let's go ahead and do it. All right, so that option was not there before. Isn't that just crazy? Right? So here we go. So let's go ahead and do 10.10.10.240. And in all honesty, I cannot even remember if I have a password on this bad boy. Let's try it out. Did I ever put a password on this thing? Oh snap, I did. Hey, here's your Forti thought of the day. Always remember your password on the FortiAnalyzer and FortiManager, because there is no recovery option like on the FortiGate. So good times there. So I just put in the admin with super user rights. And look at that, probe failed. Wah, wah, wah. All right, well, no big deal. This could be a problem with the free VMs that we're using, because I did run into this when I was trying to do some encryption with the SSL TLS, which isn't configurable. But you know what? Before we panic, let's check one more place. So, so guys, if you ever get this kind of probe failed on a licensed machine, these are free, so there's always that caveat. There's one place we're going to check. So let's go over to our actual FortiAnalyzer. So 10.10.10.240. All right. There we are. Okay. And then if we go to our systems dashboard, okay, you'll see that I am using the free license. And there's not much you can do about the encryption levels, about the way that they negotiate. It's a way to keep you from using these in real production. But always go to your network, and you see how there's a FortiManager administration access that's not there on the, well, FortiManager. So make sure that is selected so your FortiManager can talk to it. Okay. Then obviously if you're using IP6, you need it in the IP6 flavor. But let's see if that wasn't the cause. Okay, so let's go back here and let's try the probe one more time and see if it works. So 10.10.10, yep, .10.240, admin, password to my FortiAnalyzer. We'll hit next. Look at that, it found it. So sweet. FortiAnalyzer description, we'll hit next. And now it is going to bring it on over. So here it's saying that the local FortiGate, all right, and the FortiAnalyzer has already been managing this device, so that should be fine. But these right here are not using the FortiAnalyzer. That's all that that's confirming. So let's go ahead and bring it over. All right. And what this is essentially going to do is that it's going to marry the two devices, so which is just kind of nice. So let's see if it actually works. Let's see if it actually works. Let's go over and look. We even have a FortiAnalyzer being managed, so that's kind of cool. All right, but let's go over to our provisioning template. And let's make a provisioning template for this FortiAnalyzer and push it down to the devices that don't have it yet. So let's go ahead and do a new one. All right. Actually, you know what? I already did one, didn't I? Right here. Look at that. Hot dog. Woohoo! By the way, it says specific IP address, or look at this, managed FortiAnalyzer, and now it's selectable. What? That just put the IP address in for us. So anyways, let's go ahead and see if that works now. And instead we're going to assign it to the devices that aren't collecting logs yet. All right, so we're applying that down. Now remember, nothing actually gets pushed over to the devices. What gets modified, okay, is the device database that's sitting on the FortiManager. So if we come back to our devices and groups, they're all modified now. All right, so, and I'm going to go ahead and install and push those down. Now it's going to the actual devices. So if everything comes out right, the advantage of this is that the FortiManager is already approved managing these devices. So in theory, we should not have to go and authorize anything when we push this down, because the FortiManager and the FortiAnalyzer are married together. In other words, they have that communication between the two, so you don't have to approve the devices twice like we did in the FortiAnalyzer video. So it'll just take a second here. And they're off. Okay. You can always check here to see what it's doing too. Oh, look at that. It looks like we have some kind of problem. What? And it happens in real life. We'll figure it out. All right. And of course, the second I'm like, hey, let's go ahead and hit pause, it always like ends up working. So, um, anyways. Now the data center one, I wonder if that's able to even get back through the tunnel. I don't know if I wrote a rule that it could go push up the tunnel. I know it can push down the tunnel. So let me go ahead and hit pause and just let this finish cooking. So, all right, guys, it finished, and we actually have a bunch of failed. So if you come over here, you can see, all right, it looks like the checksums are failing. So it went to go push down a configuration. It was expecting some kind of checksum, and it wouldn't come up. So if this happens, we can always take a look here and see what actually went forward. And it looks like it has nothing to do with the logging settings, but it has to do with some proposals with our IPsec phase 1 and phase 2 tunnels, which is kind of weird because those never changed. All right, so it should have only rolled back these, but let's double check it. Let's go ahead and hit close. Let's hit finish. All right, and as you can see, we're going to have a conflict now, and the conflict is because the two versions didn't hash up. Okay, but did it actually log anything? Like, are we logging at all? I have no idea. So how can we check that? Well, let's go to our remote FortiGate. All right. And if we look at our logging settings, you'll notice that it did push down the IP address of the FortiAnalyzer. Where it failed is that it was rolling back the problems with the IPsec tunnel, and this will happen sometimes. Sometimes the information is the same, but for some reason the checksum just doesn't come over okay. So how do we resolve that? If we already have the information in here, all right, that we want, it got applied, okay, is it actually on the FortiGates? Is it actually collecting? How do we actually see that, right? Well, we're going to have to go into our FortiAnalyzer and see if there's, well, anything there. All right, and look at that. All the FortiGates are there. So it did work. It did provision them. Okay, now the reason why it's red here is because we haven't generated any traffic to make logs, and that's why it's going to stay red until it sees something flowing across the interface. Nothing's going to happen. All right, but I know a lot of people that use the FortiManager will get frustrated by these I'm out of sync problems. So how do we resolve those? So just to confirm one more time, okay, our settings did get applied. All right, for some reason the checksums did not want to come forth. All right, and even just to make sure, I'm going to go to my VPN manager and I'm going to look at my awesomeness map here to make sure the tunnels are still up and everything still looks good. I know they are because I wouldn't have been able to get back to the FortiAnalyzer if it wasn't. All right, so they're just out of sync with each other. There's a conflict. So what we're going to do, all right, is that you can either push down the settings again, so you can force it, all right, or you can push it up. In my case, I'm going to try pushing it up. And how we do that is we go to our dashboard, all right, we can go to our preview here, and that preview will show us what's pending for the modified state. And once again, it's just something weird about those tunnels that are just fine. Now, if I had this in a production network, I'd probably look at some revisions to try to double check that, okay? But most likely it is just going to be some kind of, you know, mismatch. It might have even happened if I restored the FortiManager recently. So let's go ahead and retrieve the settings. So we go into our revision history, all right, and we say retrieve config, and it will actually go to the FortiGates, pull all the settings, and make a new revision stamp. And usually that will solve the problem. You just want to make sure, okay, that everything looks fine on your part. See, it's now synchronized. And the reason why the package status is questioned, because was there something here that could have affected the package? Well, let's just roll with it. And I'm going to go ahead and do this simply because I know that a lot of people who have taken my courses can get frustrated by those out of sync to out of conflicts. So I'm going to first make sure the settings look okay, then I'll push down the policy packages and see if it can't get it back into a synced state. But still, once again, it's not uncommon. At least it's been my experience. So, oops. And let's do it for one last one. Here we go. Oh, I'm still in log settings. Okay, here we are. We're going to retrieve that config. I should do a separate video on that completely, but like I said, I don't really do these for anything but supplement my classes. Here we go. Alright, at least now they're in sync with each other. Oops. Bloop. Ta-da! So, and then, if we really wanted to, we can push down those policy packages. Here we go. Nope. Ooh, almost dropped the wrong package on there. That would have been bad. Anyways. Looks good. All greens. So once again, we did a poll from the FortiGates because everything looked well. And now we're pushing back down just to confirm that all the policies and all the packages are all okay with each other. So, because that question mark just simply means that the FortiGate does not know if the policy package is the same as the one that it had before. So, and it always sits here at 35 for a moment. So I might just hit the pause button real quickly. Alright, sorry about that. So as you can see, everything came back okay, and I hit finish, and look at that. Holy moly, we're back in a synced state. So, and then you can always do a reinstall policy if you want to skip the wizard, and that way you don't accidentally put the wrong baseline on there. Anyways, so once again, to resolve that conflict, we just did a push and a pull. In other words, we pushed down the settings. For some reason, it did not like the settings for the VPN tunnel, even though they were identical and they were working. So there's probably a better reason for that. I just have to look into it. So, all right, I'll give it a second. That's right, it always sticks at 35. Okay, hit pause. I mean, when I say stick, guys, yeah, exactly. It's just for a few moments. So I just don't like these videos being very long. This has already gone too long. So, all right, here we go. Hit finish. And now we're all back in a synchronized state. So once again, I probably should have just, you know, made it a separate video. But as you can see here, we got our FortiManager and our FortiAnalyzer to accept these devices without having to approve them individually. And that's because we plugged in the FortiAnalyzer as a managed device, okay? And look at this, all device changes should be done from the FortiManager. So it actually locks this for us. Isn't that cool? So we can just see and not touch. But we still have the advantage, all right, of coming over here and going to things like our log view, all right? And you'll see, I mean, we should at least be getting, let's see, all devices for the last 5 minutes. Nothing found, huh? I guess we actually have to start pushing things to it, right, guys? So we have no traffic log because, well, there's nothing that's pushing traffic. So there's a couple events there, all right? Anyways. But it will definitely take a bit for the logs to start flowing in, but I promise you they will definitely start flowing in. So that will be another video, and we will essentially start making our firewall policies to start pushing logs to this thing so we can start generating reports. So, and then also we cleared up those synchronization errors. Just if you get a conflict, guys, just make sure everything works. Look at the changes you were making. If the changes you were making are not the changes having the conflict, then just do a pull by retrieving the configuration. That will put the policy packages in an unknown state. That's not a bad thing. It's just an unknown state. So you confirm that unknown state by doing a push down by the policy side of things. So I hope that was helpful, guys. Sorry for it being so long, but you know, now we have our FortiAnalyzer and our FortiManager married together. We have our FortiGates all pumped into our headquarters here, and the FortiAnalyzer is collecting logs. So, all right, guys, until next time, I'll talk to you later. Hey, guys, this is Devin Adams. I am so sorry. I am such a ding-dong. I forgot to show you guys the coolest part about marrying these two together. So I think Rich has inspired me to get some editing software, so I might just edit I just might edit something out here. But the whole point of having the FortiAnalyzer being managed by the FortiManager is to also give us a single pane of management. And the reason why we didn't see this last time is because you need to log out in order for it to refresh the GUI. So, but once you log out of your FortiManager, once you've married the FortiAnalyzer to it, and what I mean that is bringing it in as a managed device, when you go to your FortiManager now, you actually see the FortiAnalyzer part in the FortiManager, even though these are all being hosted on the FortiAnalyzer. So that way you don't have to jump back and forth between the two devices. And that's why it gave you that lockout screen when we went there to try to dive into it. So as you can see here, you know, if we go to our log files, I'll show you that virus I picked up. Real nice way for us to not have to essentially, you know, dig into our files and things like that. So anyways, I will stop right there though, guys. And yeah, anyways, how many times can I say anyways? So don't forget, when you marry the two devices together, meaning that the FortiAnalyzer is now being managed by the FortiManager, all right? You don't have to jump back and forth into two places. It's just done for you. So can't believe I skipped that step. All right, guys, thanks a lot, and I'll see you next time.